Yo, what's going on? My name is Luke Iha, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 stages of client acquisition for copywriters. If you don't know who I am, I'm a copywriter who went from knowing pretty much nothing about copy to selling multiple 6 figures worth of my words within just a couple of years. Since then, I've sold over 9 figures worth of goods, beaten $50 million controls, launched a 7-figure agency in less than a year, and I've now worked with hundreds, maybe even 1,000 plus copywriters inside my coaching program, Genesis. And in this call, like I said, we're going to walk you through the 5 stages of client acquisition for copywriters and freelancers, right? The reason why this is important is because once you understand what these stages are, you're going to be able to know exactly what step you're in and exactly what to focus on without wasting time. This is the blueprint that I wish I had, because it will tell you, here's the stage you're in, here's what to focus on, here's what to do next, so you can move faster than I did. So if you work hard, have talent, and execute everything that I say, then I promise you can move incredibly fast through this game and change your life forever within a year. It is possible. Do you believe it? If so, then let's dive in. After working with hundreds of copywriters, this is not something I just pulled out my ass. This is something that I've seen in my own life and in the lives of so many people that I've encountered. I probably know more copywriters than just about anybody. I've discovered what I call the 5 stages of client acquisition for copywriters, and these are them: the hustler, the disciple, the marksman, the rainmaker, and the icon. These are the 5 most important stages. Each stage has one single objective. The hustler is to get a job. The disciple is to get good enough. The marksman is to get a big win. The rainmaker is to get more wins, and the icon is to get even more. Some notes. 1, you do not have to follow this flow. I just think you should. What I mean by that is you don't have to move through each of these steps sequentially. I just think this is the most efficient and most sustainable way to grow and evolve as a copywriter as you're getting clients. But again, everyone's path is unique, and you should embrace that your path is unique. There will be ups and downs and serendipities that you cannot account for, and that is a good thing. So let me break down each stage and show you how to execute them. So the first stage is the hustler, and their number 1 objective is to get a job. So this is what I always say to anyone who's in my program, right? And they're like, I want to be a copywriter, and I ask, hey, have you had a job yet? And they say, no. I say, stop what you're doing. I want you to leave this call right now. I don't care what you're on. And I want you to go and get your client right away. I want you to go and start to sell your words to somebody right away. Maybe that seems easier said than done, but trust me, it's pretty straightforward. You can find somebody to agree to pay you $5, $10, $15. I actually don't care what the amount is. Find somebody to agree to pay you for your words. It could be somebody you know, a stranger that you find online. There's tons of different ways to do it, but you need to go and get that first transaction. The reason why this is so important is I see so many copywriters, or want to be copywriters, not wannabes, but want to be's. They get stuck in this stage because they have all these limiting beliefs in their minds. So I just need to practice a little bit more. I need to read a couple more books. I need to do this. It's all bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors. So if you do not have a client and you're watching this, I want you to go. I want you to stop this video. You don't need any more advice. You need to go and get a client. Okay. I recommend Upwork, and I have some advice on how to accomplish that, but go and get a client, because when you have someone that you're working for, there's a different level of motivation. There's a little bit of risk. There's a little bit of uncertainty. There's a little bit of pressure, and you need all of those things to propel you to actually do the work. Okay, if you're just sitting there handwriting letters or practicing copy or doing whatever, I think those exercises are great, but they are great when you're actually doing work for somebody else. Before that, it's just mental masturbation. You do not want to be wasting your time doing any of that stuff. Go and get a client, and then you can start to figure out how to fulfill for that client, what you need to do, et cetera, et cetera. You don't need more training. You don't need more books. You need to get a client. Okay, I wrote a whole rant on here. Later, I'll show you how you can get this document so you can read through my rant. Okay, these are what I typically hear from people. I just need to study more. I need to get better. I need to buy XYZ course. I need to do whatever. Okay, but to me, that's all fake. You need to just go, commit, say, I'm going to go get a client. Okay, because once you do, you're creating this momentum for yourself, and everything will just build from there. So the sooner that you're able to get through this hurdle, the better. And this is why this is called the hustler. Okay, I want you to just go out and make it happen. Actually, I'll show you something in a second. So there's the rant. I have a written and a verbal rant for you. Now, let's dive into the tactics. So the hustler stage is the very first stage when you decide I'm going to be XYZ, right? So this applies whether you want to be a copywriter or anything else. My firm conviction is that you need to be in the game. Okay, so you need to jump in and make it happen. There's a couple different things that I say to people. One is I say, when you start out, you'll likely work with shitty clients, and you're also probably a shitty copywriter. So it's a match made in heaven. A lot of people worry like, oh, my skills are not that great. My thing is, look, until you get good, most of the people you're going to work with are not that great clients either. Okay. So you're not a good copywriter, most likely, if you don't have any experience. It's impossible to be. It's not your fault. It's impossible to be. I'm a great copywriter now. I was not a good copywriter when I started out. The stuff I wrote when I started was embarrassing, but I would never have gotten better unless I actually applied myself and started getting these jobs. The people that I worked for, they were not great business owners. They didn't know how to run a business. They didn't really understand copy that well. So it worked. Okay. Everything was as it was supposed to be. It was a great ecosystem. The other thing I say is that the best way to learn something is to do it. When you study without application, you think you're learning something because you're reading advertising and you're reading this newsletter and you're watching YouTube videos and you're doing whatever. You think you're learning, but you're not. The learning is lost to you. Okay. And what I mean by that is, I've read the same book once before I started doing copy, right? And then I read the same book after when I started doing copy, and everything in that book made way more sense to me because I was actually in the game. I was already thinking about things. So I was able to pair my internal experience with what I was reading in the book, and I actually was able to get the value out of the book. So again, this is another reason why you're wasting your time. You're actually not able to learn because you're not in the process of doing it. All right, so how do you get started? Well, you can do this by friends, Upwork, Reddit, Twitter, whatever, okay? You can find somebody. It's the hustler stage for a reason. I also don't care if you work for cheap or work for free. People object to that. If you can go and get paid and even paid well right out the gate, I fully support you. I want that for everybody in here. The reality is that it's hard. And I also think that being in momentum, I think that getting practice and actually writing copy is way, way, way more important and valuable to you than getting the paycheck. Okay, the paychecks will come later if you put in the work in the front end. So don't let that hold you back and think, oh, I need to get paid or I need to be paid my worth. It's like, my thing is just get out there, get the job, start the process, and you can continue to scale and get paid what you're worth later down the road. I'm going to attach this here. It's quite embarrassing, but I'm going to attach it anyways. So this is a blog post that I wrote. I think it was the very first piece of copy that I did. I think the date is January 2020, so 4 years ago. It was the time that I decided, you know what, I'm going to be a copywriter. I just literally went on Reddit. I don't know what it was. It was some guy who's selling something called Room Juice, which is, I hope he's not watching this. It's a horrible name. And he was basically like, hey, I need to write these blogs, whatever. And I just said, hey, I'll write these blogs for you for free. Okay. It was just, I just needed to write and do something for somebody. And this is the very first thing that I ever did. You're seeing it live here. Okay. It's a blog. It's not even copy. But the important thing was I got started. As soon as I did that, I was like, okay, well, now I need to get to the next person, the next person, the next person, the next person. I just kept that momentum going to be able to get to the place that I'm at today. And I continue to apply that in my life going forward. Now, my favorite place to get started is Upwork. Some people shit on Upwork. Some people say it's not great. I have found a lot of success for both myself and for my students in starting on Upwork. I like it because you can build third-party proof, which basically means you can build your portfolio and it looks really sexy and it just gives you some validity, right? Because even if I'm sending a cold DM or I'm just like outreaching to somebody, they're going to look and be like, who is this guy, right? They only have my word for what I'm capable of. But if I can point them also to an Upwork profile where I have tons of 5-star reviews, whatever, it adds a layer of credibility. Eventually you outgrow that, but when you're first getting started, it's just amazing. There's people who want copywriters, so you just need to go and pitch your services to them, do work, you get paid, you're building a portfolio, you're building a body of work, you're building everything that you need, and you're getting better along the way. I think it's awesome. You can also find really great clients on there. So I put that on here. My first 8-figure email list management client was on there, and I worked with them for maybe 2 years, right? And they were a great company, and there's tons of opportunities for me to grow with them and upsell my services and et cetera, et cetera. Eventually, I grew so much I didn't want to work with them anymore. But you could find really good clients on there if you know what you're doing. Which, by the way, if you guys want more trainings on Upwork, my specific system, let me know and I'll shoot a video on that. Okay, for now though, I'm going to give you an old version of how I got started on Upwork, how to make your first $1,000 on Upwork in 3 months or less with zero experience, step by step. So this is a guide that I wrote literally the day after I think I made my first $1,000 on Upwork. It took me an embarrassingly long time to make it, maybe a couple months. You should be able to blow right past that. Okay, I don't want anyone to wait that long, but I was a little bit slow, so it is what it is. And I wrote this thing, I think I wrote it immediately after I made that money. I just sat down and wrote it. I think I modified it a little bit, but it walks through my entire process. Some of these things have changed, some of the things you can't do, but in general, I still use this framework. I give it to students inside of Genesis now, and those who are starting on Upwork, they use it and they have a lot of success. So it continues to work to this day. There's some things that you might want to modify, but overall, this is one of the best things you could use, and I'm giving that to you right now. I'll go later and do an updated one if you guys want. Here's the basic TLDR of what that document says. Okay, so this is how you can succeed on Upwork in 6 easy steps. Okay, the best tips. 1 is fill out every feature on Upwork. So first thing I say is go look at your Upwork profile, every single thing that they have on there. Resume, where you went to college, make a video of yourself, get testimonials from people, make sure you're getting the reviews, etc. Fill out the proposal, make sure you have portfolio samples of your work. Every single thing that you can, pop it in there because people just want to come on and feel like your profile is full. That's the experience. They're not even going to look or read too in detail at what your stuff is. They just want to click on your profile and be like, okay, this person is legitimate. They took time and effort and care to cultivate a nice profile. It looks full, done. The next thing is to get 3 5-star reviews right away. This is one thing that's changed, right? When you apply to jobs on Upwork now, if you do not have at least 3 5-star reviews, you will not get a response. So you have to do that right away. You're wasting your time just sending out applications and proposals. If you do not have 5-star reviews, nobody's going to respond to it. So what I tell people all the time is go and find a friend, give your friend $10, $100, $50, and tell them to hire you, pay you that money. So you pay it to them so they can pay you back, right? If you want to be ethical with it, make sure that you actually do some work for them. Everybody needs a work. I don't care. Write an email to them, to their mom, write a something to them, right? But you need some sort of 5-star review and you want to make it look as good as possible and you need to get that right away. It should take a couple days at the most. I tell people all the time, I want you to do this in 2 days, okay? Come back to me and get this done. And they always get it done and you need it. So I put, do not skip the step, do not skip, do not skip, do not skip. The next is write your proposal like a sales letter, kind of. So I put an example in the Upwork doc that you can copy. You probably want to modify it and play around with it for yourself, but you kind of want to be smart with your proposals. So make sure your proposals are good, especially the first lines, because that's what people see when they open, before actually they even open up your proposal. They're going to see the opening lines and stuff. So you want to make sure that that looks good. The next thing is to avoid downside in the beginning. Okay, so I do not work with clients who seem like they're going to be nightmare clients. I want the clients who are just like kind of laissez-faire. They're going to give you 5-star reviews, et cetera, et cetera. So don't work with somebody who, if you go and look on the reviews they've given to other contractors, other freelancers, if they're giving like 2 stars, 3.5 stars, 4 stars, and they're just being nitpicky and critical, don't do that, okay? 1 4-star review or 3-star review or whatever will not tank your profile. I think you can always come back from something, but in the beginning, it's gonna slow you down a lot. So avoid your downside, especially in the beginning. Next thing is to get rave reviews and testimonials. You don't want just people to be like, hey, this person was awesome. You want to be like, this person is like the best freelancer I ever hired in my life. Okay, you really want rave, glowing reviews. The way to do this is you need to over deliver. So if they ask for 3 emails, send them 4. Next thing is to serve them. You're a service provider, so come with the attitude of I'm going to serve this person. So try to be anticipating what their needs are. Try to be thoughtful with the questions you have. Try to make everything easy for them. Be on time, be responsive. All those things add up to a nice experience for the person who's hiring you, which is, it's easy to stand out on Upwork and it's going to make them way more likely to leave you a great testimonial. The next one is care, actually care. Like I was so obsessed with getting better when I started that I would just write emails for people and then I would look at their landing page and offer advice, and it was even bad advice, but people just sensed that I cared. I cared more about their business or as much about their business as they did, and people are just attracted to that and they liked it. So they left me great reviews and that just supported my journey even more. Okay, the next is you can filter jobs just by putting direct response in the title of your job to filter it out. All right, the next one is the disciple. So once you've gotten started, once you've gotten your first job, maybe your first 2 to 3 jobs, okay, maybe you got paid for them, maybe you didn't get paid for them, maybe you got paid a little, maybe you got paid a lot, maybe you got it from Reddit or Upwork or Twitter, I don't care where you got it from, but you're in the game. You have become a copywriter, okay, you got over a big hurdle. Your next objective is to get good enough. Now, I don't really hear anybody in copywriting, not anybody, but I don't hear a lot of people in copywriting talk about getting good. But it's probably the most important thing you can do to get clients. So let me give you an example. My business partner, Mario Castelli, has a Facebook profile picture that's 15 years old. You can't find him online. He does 0 outreach. He has 0 acquisition processes. He just happens to be really fucking good. So much so that he routinely turns down $35,000 and $100,000 projects just because he doesn't want to do them. That's this past month alone. Again, it's because he's good and delivers results. I'm also in a similar position and very blessed and fortunate to have people come to me for work, which is why I think getting good is a huge priority and something almost nobody talks about. This is just the reality. Again, worked with lots and lots of copywriters, and it's very rare that I see someone that I think is actually good. Right? And it's not because it's impossible or hard. It's just that, one, people don't try or care about being good that much. And the second one is they don't really have good teachers. A lot of people overcomplicate things, or they don't really have any sort of system, whatever. So as long as you're committed, watching this video to being good and understand the importance of being good, I'm committed to providing you the best materials that I 100% have conviction will make you as good as possible in the shortest amount of time. Whether you want to be a copywriter or a business owner or whatever it is, follow this, you will get good. I've seen it time and time again with business owners and copywriters, people who started from being bad dog water copywriters to being actually pretty fucking good. All right, so let me go. Most copywriters are dog shit. It's just true, including a lot of people teaching copy. This is also true. It's not that hard to get good. It's just that a lot of people don't even try and they're learning very inefficiently. If you're committed to the former, I'll help you with the latter. So the whole point of the disciple is once you get started and you have a client, you should focus on getting good enough is what I'm saying. Now, what do I mean by getting good enough? Well, it's kind of hard to quantify, but if you say that copy is graded on a scale of F to A, you want to get to at least a C plus. At least, okay? That kind of hurts me to say because I want everyone to be A plus because I think it's possible, or at least an A or a B plus. But C plus is kind of this minimum threshold of how good you are, where you can start to actually flex a little bit. You can get better clients. You can actually get results for people, etc. You should not stop at a C plus. Understand me, this is the minimum threshold that you should achieve, and you should continue to try to get to the B level and the A level as quick as possible. But the reason I say get good enough is because I don't want people to get stuck in this stage of not making a lot of money, trying to get good. I want you to balance it a little bit. Okay, this is a mistake that I made myself. I focused so much on getting good, I didn't put equal amount of attention into scaling my income at the same time. And I still had a pretty fast rise, but I could have made even more money if I had focused on both simultaneously. Okay, so you just want to get good enough, about a C plus. And with consistent effort and talent, I think you can do this in a few months, 2 to 3 months. Maybe that seems like a lot. Maybe it seems like a little. I'm telling you, it's not a lot. And if you follow all the stuff I'm telling you to do and all the videos that I'm going to be creating, follow that, you will get good, and you can get to this level pretty quickly. How do you get good? 3 things. So the first thing to get good is volume. The second thing is feedback. The third thing is study. Okay? You need all 3 of these. I'm going to say it again. You need all 3 of these. And I'm going to say it one more time. You need all 3 of these things: volume, feedback, and study. If you are missing one of these things, you are losing out a lot. These things have a synergistic effect, which I mean is when you're doing a lot of volume of copy, I'll break them all down in a second. When you're doing a lot of volume, it's like you're going at 10x. When you add in the feedback, now you're at 100x. And when you're adding in the study, now you're at 300x. I just came up with those numbers off the top of my head. The point is they're synergistic and exponential. When you're doing all 3 of these simultaneously, you will get better than most people. The reason why is I see copywriters, even today, copywriters have been doing this for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. They still are not getting consistent feedback. They're still not studying. They're not doing a lot of volume, and they're not really learning or growing. And it's the simplest thing in the world. Follow this formula and you will get better than most people because most people are not willing to do these things. That's just the truth. Now, you should also be doing these in the right ratio. So what does this mean? It means you should spend about 70% of your time doing and writing actual copy for real clients. It's the best way to learn. You just need to be in the trenches doing it, trying, having risk, failing, figuring it out. Okay, that's where most of your learning is going to happen. The second thing you need to do is spend about 20% of your time getting feedback from your market, if you can, from someone who's actually good. It's very hard to come by, but it's worth its weight in gold. I cannot stress this enough. If you're writing a lot, doing a lot of volume, and you get someone who's good to critique your stuff, and they know how to actually copy chief your stuff, you will grow so fast. I've seen copywriters become experts in a domain within a few months of this process. Okay, they just come. And again, it's true in our program. In Genesis, we have a copy feedback that I just got off the call, right? We had a 2.5 hour call, or maybe 2 hour call, going over copy for the people in our program. The people who consistently show up, if they're a business owner, they're getting 100 to 200% conversions, right? And they're scaling their funnels. If they're a copywriter, they're hitting the 10K months, or the 7K months, the 8K months, whatever it is, and they're just growing and developing as copywriters, and they're getting good. Their copy is legitimately getting good, better than so much stuff that I see out there, to the point where I look at it, I don't even have any feedback. And I'm nitpicky. I always find something to critique. But most of the time I look at it now and I'm like, all right, you did a great job. So you need to get this feedback. The last thing is you need to spend about 20 or 10% of your time studying copy. Okay, most people have this all backwards. Some people will spend 50 to 60% of their time studying copy and they're not doing any work. You're not going to learn that way. Some people just continue to work, and they're just hustling, right? That's great. I like that. But if you're not getting feedback, you're not actually going to get that much better. And that's usually what people do, and most people don't get feedback, even though it's the essential ingredient. One of the number one benefits from having extra cash for me, one of the things I love about this, is that I'm able to invest my money into learning more skills. And because I personally understand the value of feedback and the value of coaching, I have kind of gone crazy. I have coaches for everything. I have a personal coach, a spiritual coach, a salsa coach, a couple salsa coaches, a boxing coach, a couple boxing coaches. I have a screenwriting coach, a couple business coaches. I just got off a call with one of my business coaches. So I'm always investing into that because it's the fastest way to learn. And when you learn and stack your skills, you just continue to just fly up the escalator of life. So let me break down each step a little bit more. Volume. I have a strong conviction based entirely on anecdotal evidence and gut feeling, what I call the voice of God, that pure volume alone makes you good. Okay, so if you just did volume, you would still get good. It's not efficient, it's messy, but it works. And when you add in stakes and risk, like you get with real clients, then it multiplies this process. Meaning, again, this is why I think it's way better to be working for somebody because there's something at stake, right? Like they could give you a bad review or they paid you money. And so you feel that pressure. That pressure is what brings the best out of you. Okay, it's super, super necessary. You need volume. Volume is the answer to almost everything. More reps than you can possibly imagine. When I first started copy, I literally said, I don't know if I will be a good copywriter or not, but I know I need a lot of volume to prove it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do 100 copywriting projects. 100 copywriting projects. I'm going to shut my eyes and just do those projects. When I finish 100 projects, then I'll look back and be like, okay, is this good or is this not? But I'm not going to allow myself to doubt myself until I go through these 100 projects, okay? And I literally did that. My thing is organized by case study 1, case study 2, like project 3, project 4, project 5. Around project 20 or 30 is when I started to make real money. And I'm probably at 100 projects now, or probably well beyond that actually. But it was like, I got to like a quarter of that and I had already exceeded my expectations by a ton because I just focused on volume. Right? So this is what I talk about. Some tips is charge as much as you can without slowing down volume, right? So a lot of people in the beginning say things like, oh, I have this person, they're not paying me as much as I want, so I'm not going to take that job. And that's fine. I like that, right? I want people to make money and I want people to have the self-worth. I love that fact. My thing is that I feel like the value of doing a lot of volume and the value of getting a shit ton of experience with copy, it just multiplies, right? It's an investment that you're making into yourself. So regardless of what they pay you, you're getting so much value from that. That's going to pay you so much in the future by getting good, right? Because you're building the skill set. So whatever they pay you, to me, is almost like gravy. Like you got to pay your bills and everything, but that's almost like gravy. The real value is in the volume itself. So what I say is charge as much as you can, but don't let that slow you down. If you're in a case where you're like charging a lot and you're not closing these deals and you're like, okay, let me wait for the next one, I feel like you're wasting precious time getting better and sharpening your skill set, which will ultimately allow you to become undeniable and land the really, really good deals. Right? So hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying there. Okay, and one thing is hard work always comes back to me. This is just a principle. Maybe it's one of the universal laws, right, of compensation. Hard work, when I put real actual effort and care into something, it always comes back to me. I've spent a lot of time on projects that I abandoned and I was like, this is a waste of time, but always somehow what I learned or something I created or something I thought about or a person I met, it always comes back to me. And I realize, because I put in that effort from a real place of integrity and I was genuine about it, it was returned to me. And that's just a belief that I have. All right, the next one is feedback. Feedback. This is a hard step, but it's necessary because real, brutal, honest feedback makes you better faster than anything. You need to be doing reps to make this work, but if you pair that with good feedback, you're going to get better at least 10 to 20 times faster than other people. I really, really believe that. If you work hard and have talent, you can get better than 95% of copywriters by doing volume and getting good feedback. So commit to getting good feedback. It's worth it. There's a guy in one of our higher end program who pays us $25,000 a year for one-on-one feedback on his copy. He's a CMO for a really big, nice size company that's growing a lot. In just a few months, he went from writing dog shit copy, and he would probably admit that himself, to writing copy that's better than a lot of copy from copywriters I see teaching on the internet. He's gotten legitimately good in just a few months of time because he's doing a lot of copy. He's sending it to us. We tear him a new asshole. He goes back, he learns, he makes the changes. Now he comes back and he's giving us good stuff. He's writing really amazing ads. I see them on my phone all the time and I'm always proud. I'm like, that's a damn good ad. And he wrote it. Okay. And he went from knowing nothing about it to just being obsessive, and he mastered this stuff so fast, right? And now this is a skill set that he will use for life. It's going to make his business grow to 8 figures and beyond, and he just always will have it. He'll be able to train and teach others. Like, it's so powerful. So just commit to doing this. It's really, really key. When I started myself in my own journey, I paid my copy coach $2,500 a month, and it was pretty hard to afford it at that time. But it ended up being worth every penny because he helped me to crush a couple sales letters that I would not have been able to do on my own. I learned so much from him, and that just shot me and elevated my career way faster than what it would have been otherwise. So good copy feedback. I'm going to figure out some more suggestions on where you can find this because there's not that many people that are good that are doing this. They need to be good. Genesis is definitely one of the places you can go and get good copy feedback. Other places, I'll have to figure out some recommendations. Here's a note, which is basically like the best feedback you can get is from the market. So if you are managing an email list and you can get performance data, ads, performance data, if you're doing your own offers, whatever, like the market is always the master. Okay, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what my partner says, it doesn't matter what any copy coach says, the market has the final say, and copywriters get it wrong all the time. If you can get real feedback from your market, that's the best copy coach that you could possibly have. It's worth like so much more. It's just harder to come by, especially when you're first starting out. All right, the next thing is people ask me a lot, what should I study? What should I read? Usually my answer is everything. Literally just don't even ask the question. Just read everything. Type best copywriting books into Google, read all of them. Type copywriting stuff in YouTube, watch all those videos. Go to swipe.co, read all the sales letters, whatever. This is not an efficient way to learn at all. My thing is like, it's so fast. You can read these things pretty quickly. You'll pick up something and you'll start to piece things together for yourself. Okay, so here's a quote from William Faulkner, who's a great author. And this is pretty much how he said to get better at writing. And it's pretty much sums up how I feel about getting better at copy. But because I have done this for a long time and I want to give you shortcuts, I'm going to put a list of resources together that I think are good for starting out. Okay. But for now, here are some quick recommendations. One is watch my copy blocks training and really understand that. It's the first video that I did. It's the foundation for so much. If you watch that and understand that, you are off to an amazing start. The next thing is to read some books that I recommend. I looked at all the books that I recommended. Like I would say 80% of them are just outdated or I did not find them that helpful. Okay. I'm an N of one. So my opinion is kind of just my opinion, but after going through them, and I've read most of them multiple times, some of them I think they're overrated and they're not that valuable. They're kind of a waste of time. 16-word sales letter, excellent book. Cash advertising, for me, it's like a B plus, right? But my business partner loves that book, so I put that on here. Adweek Copy Handbook. It can be a little outdated, but the principles in there I think are some of the best. Tons of examples. Joseph Sugarman is awesome. How to Write a Good Advertisement, hella old, not recommended a lot, but I read this book so many times and it was just so simple and I just liked it. I don't know, I really enjoyed that one. Some sales letters to read. Joe Carbo, this is an old ad, but it still applies today. And I'll do a breakdown of this maybe if you guys want it, let me know. It's one of my favorite ads of all time. It's so dense and so good. Study, read it. If you're gonna hand copy an ad, do this one. I've done it multiple times. ProDenton, this is a very black hat, aggressive sales letter. Okay, so don't be turned off by that. But there's so much good persuasion copy stuff that you can apply for any market that you're writing for. I think it's good to study. And this is Pimsleur, which is an old classic ad from Chris Haddad, who's one of the best living copywriters for sure. And this is a famous famous sales letter that he wrote that I think is really, really good. Again, tons and tons of stuff. So there's so much more you can read and swipe, but if you want to study any, these are just a couple that I think are good. Go through the RMBC course, right? This is a course that I bought. It used to be $1,000. You can literally get it for free at freeadcopy.com from my old business partner, Steph Georgie. So like it's a fucking no-brainer. There's a lot of other videos on there. Feel free to watch them, but this one is the one I would focus on. Watch that course. And then of course there's Genesis, my current copywriting course, which if you want, just email myself and or my business partner and we'll send you info on that. So once you get momentum with Upwork, you should start upselling your existing clients and asking for referrals. So one of the ways you can start making more money as you're going through this process is by mastering upselling and asking for referrals. Okay, so like I get a client and they hired me for emails. Now I'm going to pitch them on doing a landing page, right? And after I get them a win, I'm going to ask them for a referral to their friends. Most people hang out with people like themselves. So if they're a business owner at a certain level, they probably know other business owners at that level as well. Cold outreach is also great, but you don't have a ton of wins to leverage at this point, which makes your success rate a lot lower. This is a really big turning point. You got your first client, so you overcame that hurdle. Now you've gotten good. You've gotten to at least the C plus or B because you focused on what I said and you actually did it. Okay, for the few fucking people who listened and are actually going to apply what I said and are going to be so happy that they did because it's going to pay off exponentially like I promised. For those people, you've got your client and you've gotten good. This is a pivotal moment because this is kind of where you make the jump from just like hustling, maybe working with clients who are paying you somewhat or paying you decently but not that much, to going into like, now I'm actually like living the dream. making good money and feeling confident, etc. So this is what the stage that I call the marksman. Your only objective is to get a win. So at this point, you should be good enough. You've got a lot of volume under your belt. You're starting to make some money. You've been studying hard, and hopefully you have a great mentor or copy coach who can support you. Because this next step is really important. It's what's going to actually allow you to start making real money and catapult you to the next level. Got a lot of typos on this. Oh, this is all about getting a win. Specifically, it's about getting results for what I call a blue chip client. This is a client who's either one, making a lot of money, or two, has a lot of authority in the market. Ideally, it's both. You want to work with this client on one specific project where you can get a big win for them. And then you can leverage that win again and again. For example, when my business partner Mario meets somebody new, all he has to say is that he wrote almost all the copy for the $300 million behemoth V-Shred, and they're pretty much sold. Okay, I've seen it in fucking action. Literally, when we hopped on the sales call with the other guy I mentioned who pays us $25K for copy coaching, we were just talking to him, telling him about it. And as soon as Mario was like, oh yeah, I used to write ads for V-Shred, the guy was like, his eyes lit up and he's like, okay, done. And we signed the deal. That's how powerful this is. I've seen it happen over and over and over and over again. So that's a blue chip client. Similarly, I can point to projects that have done more than $100 million in sales and other projects where I beat the long-standing control. These are blue chip results. Okay, so you have blue chip clients and blue chip results. Obviously, you kind of want to hope that it's the same thing. The whole point is that you want to get at least one tangible, sexy win from somebody in the market who is well known or has the capacity to make a lot of money. You want to get a good win. This is basically getting a case study, because then you can leverage that. Once you do, it makes cold outreach easier. I work with a lot of copywriters. They do a lot of different types of cold outreach. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of a slog. A lot of times the reason it doesn't work is that they don't have an amazing case study. Okay, and even if they do, it can be really, really hard. But if you don't have a case study, it's almost impossible. Okay, so you want to make sure you have a really good case study. This is also true when you are out networking, right? All you got to do is just name drop, really, or just mention a couple of different people that you worked for. It's like, done. Or if you're applying for a job, just mention that, done. Like, hiring decisions, I think, are way more intuitive and happen way faster and with way less thought than people think. You just need to have one quick thing, like, hey, I worked for this person, I made this kind of money, I can do the same thing for you. Once you get that one win, you can leverage that to shoot up and start working with higher and better clients. You can skip a lot of steps just by getting a blue chip win under your belt. I know some people and copywriters who are they're straight hustlers, and they somehow just pitched or got a job with somebody in the space, and then they just skyrocketed up past all of these steps, which is amazing. Like, I'm happy for them. The problem is that it's typically harder to do this when you have zero experience, right? These guys who do this are typically, they're hustlers, they're great salespeople, etc. The other problem is that oftentimes the growth is less sustainable because you don't have the skill. So they're always playing catch up because they've just elevated themselves to this position. They're managing big projects, but they don't really know what they're doing. They don't have the skill set. If you're smart and you're resourceful, you could figure this out, and it's the fastest way to learn things, right? Because when you have the pressure that's on you and you got to make this work, like, you'll figure out how to make it work. But it's a lot of pressure. It's not the most sustainable. That's just one little note there. Okay, so how do you get a blue chip win? Honestly, I don't know. How are you going to do it? That's the real question. Because there are a million fucking ways to get one of these clients if you're committed. But you have to be committed, which means you're in a space or an attitude where nothing is going to stand in your way. If you're not operating out of that frame or context of commitment, then you're bullshitting yourself and no tactic is going to help you. Inversely, when you are committed to getting this, the way you would be if you had to save the life of someone you love, for instance, then you don't need the answer, because you would just try things until you figure it out. That's the real answer. Get committed and then do it. And I'm not being flippant either. This is really the only way to make this happen. After a few months of being the disciple, it's time to go back to the hustler mentality and just get shit done. In practice, I often see people get their blue chip client in non-obvious, unexpected, and serendipitous ways. For me, my blue chip client was winning a couple of competitions inside an old copywriting program, the one I eventually took over. This allowed me to get on Stephen Georgi's radar, who you don't know is a really well-known and respected copywriter. Then I worked with him for a while, and the rest is history. It's also why we do monthly competitions in Genesis now, because I want to provide the same opportunity for rising talent to get noticed. For others, I've seen stuff like this work. A random introduction at a networking event, applying to a job they were unqualified for, bullshitted a little, and then hustled to make it happen. Attaching a $100 bill to a handwritten letter and slipping it in someone's bag at an event. Sending a printed portfolio to someone's house. Cold DMs or emails. Seeing a piece of your content and they just like you. Winning a contest like I did. Buying a course and upselling the owner. Going to an event and getting a recommendation. Manifestation. God. Divine destiny. I'm serious about all of these, right? I've seen people manifest these clients. I've seen people go and give $100 with a handwritten letter and get that client a little bit later. I've seen people apply to jobs and just bullshit, and it worked for them. I'm serious about all of these. They can all work. And hopefully you see what I'm saying when when I say that all of these are a little bit serendipitous, because you're trying to catapult yourself from a nobody to a somebody, right? In the copywriting speak. And you need some fucking rocket fuel to make the journey. The rocket fuel is the commitment I mentioned before, the hustle I mentioned before, and a little bit of magic. But if you're committed and if you're a crafty fuck, then the universe will submit to you. This is what I believe. Most people find the path that works for them based on their unique strength and backstory. The rest is up to you. I know that's not the most satisfying answer, and I can provide some more tactical things, but I'm really have a lot of conviction that when you get committed and understand the importance of this and just say, I'm going to go find a winning client, the answers will come to you. When you're just like, I'm going to make it happen no matter what. I'm going to put all of my insecurities and limiting beliefs aside. I'm going to make it happen. It will happen for you. Okay. And these are all a bunch of tactics that I've seen work and that you can use as well. One thing that's kind of paradoxical, it's often easier to get massive results with bigger clients because they're easier to work with. They know what they're doing, and a small improvement in their business can have huge effect, right? A lot of people get intimidated because they're scared to work with a bigger client, but sometimes it's actually way easier to get big results for them. Also, you might realistically end up getting 3 blue chip wins, right? Hormozi talks about this idea of golden BBs versus silver bullets. Same thing might apply here, but you want to focus on being targeted and strategic. Okay, this is the time where you really want to focus on getting those clients. Having a good copy coach at your side is very fucking helpful because you really want to nail this opportunity and you feel so much more confident going after it with someone on your side. So when I first started working with Stefan, I had my copy coach. We worked on the projects together. I would not have been able to do it without them. After I did a couple projects for Stefan on my own, I didn't really need the copy coach as much. And I still got coaching and mentorship and I was still learning, but it's like I was in a pretty good spot once I did that. Okay, the next one is the Rainmaker. This point is pretty simple. It's all about copy and paste. At this point, you should be good and you should have a solid win or 2 under your belt. Now you just copy and paste that success. Now that you're actually good and you have the results to prove it, this is when you can leverage cold outreach, cold DMs, job boards, online networking, in-person networking. You just focus on putting yourself out there, keeping your good habits of doing good work at high volume, getting feedback and studying. You'll just continue to grow automatically. Again, I'll do later videos on some of these things. Okay. And I teach some of these things inside of Genesis, the tactical stuff, but this is the framework and the overall strategy that you want to apply. The last one is the icon. This objective is to get the most. At this point, I usually tell copywriters it's time to become an institution. This typically means building a personal brand using organic, building an email list, running ads, and or creating a productized offer. Okay, this is also where you really want to focus on favorable deal structure. So performance deals, incentives, bonuses, etc. The key word here is leverage. If your plan is to continue being a solopreneur or just have a really high-paying job as a copywriter or CMO, then you want to become an icon using some combination of what I said above. You should do this no matter who you are. And if your goal is to become a full-blown entrepreneur, own an offer, etc., then what you want to do is leverage the skill set you've learned in copy and your reputation to do one of the following: either launch an offer or start an agency. There's a million other paths you could do, but a lot of copywriters, these things, your skills will lend themselves to these 2 paths. So to sum it up, the entire journey I recommend is to get good, get a reputation, and tell as many people as you can. Specifically, I recommend that people become something that my partner Mary and I call a wild card copywriter. Okay, this is somebody who can write every kind of copy, who can leverage AI tools to write really good copy and communicate visually, and they also understand the entire sales process, which is something that I call the offer paradigm. I'll go deep into these a little bit later, and you can read these also. At the same time, you want to become T-shaped, meaning you have a wide breadth of knowledge with deep domain-specific knowledge, and you use skill stacking to get in the top 10% of a few different domains. Here's an example of what skill stacking looks like. So in our worldview, we recommend that people follow our path to become a wildcard copywriter. If you believe that you want to be a copywriter or you see the value of copywriting for your business or whatever you're doing, then you should follow this path to becoming what we call a wildcard copywriter. It's the best kind of approach for copywriting that I see working in 2024 and beyond. Then you go deep on a few different skills that are related. Okay, so funnel building, list management, offer ownership, media buying, etc. And when you stack those things together, you have a beautiful life. This is the whole summary on here. You can check it out. And like I said, the rest is up to you. Now, hopefully this video was helpful. Most importantly, actually, I think I put it on here. So if I fulfill this video's promise, please like and subscribe so you can get more videos that are like this. And most importantly, let me know in the comments what other videos you want to see. I made this video because of comments asking about client acquisition and what stages are there. So I have a whole list. I pay attention. I read all the comments, and I will do my best to make videos that I feel like people really want. So let me know in the comments below. The other thing is that if you want this document, because I want to give it to you, there should be an option below. You just opt in, join the email list, whatever it is, and then you'll also get access to pretty much all of the different training docs that I've given through YouTube. So let me know what you thought about this video. What'd you like? What'd you not like? What do you want to see more of? Thank you so much for your time. As always, I really hope you found this helpful, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about your success. Peace.